Admiral Sarah stood at the main window of Luna Station and watched the stars. But these were not normal stars. 500 alien warships floated in space beyond the moon, their lights twinkling like deadly jewels. Each ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built. Each ship carried enough weapons to destroy entire cities. Sarah's hands shook as she held her coffee cup. In 12 hours, those ships would attack Earth unless humanity surrendered completely. The aliens wanted all humans to become slaves or die. There was no middle choice. "Admiral, we have another message from the alien fleet," said Commander from behind her. His voice was tired. None of them had slept in 3 days. Sarah turned around. The main screen showed a tall, thin alien with skin like blue crystal. Admiral Ra of the Empire looked at Sarah with cold, jewel-like eyes. "Human leader," Ra said in perfect English. "You have 11 hours and 47 minutes to surrender. We will not give you more time. Your species is dangerous to the galaxy. You breed too fast. You adapt too quickly. You do not follow the natural order that keeps peace among the stars." Sarah stepped forward. "We just want to live in peace. We never attacked your worlds." Ra's crystalline face showed no emotion. "Peace? Your people have spread to 47 star systems in only 200 years. The hegemony took thousands of years to build our civilization properly. You humans are like a virus. If we do not stop you now, you will consume everything." The alien admiral paused and looked directly at Sarah. "We have studied your history. You fight wars against your own kind. You destroy your own planet's environment. You cannot control yourselves. The galaxy will be safer without you." The transmission ended. Sarah stared at the blank screen for a moment, then looked around the command center. 30 officers worked at their stations, coordinating the defense of humanity's home system. But they all knew the truth. Earth's entire defense force had only 47 ships, and most of them were scattered across human colonies, trying to evacuate civilians. "How many people did we save?" Sarah asked. Lieutenant checked her tablet. "The evacuation ships got 8 million people off the outer colonies. But there are still 3 billion people on Earth, 200 million on Mars, and 50 million in the asteroid belt stations." Sarah nodded slowly. They had saved less than 1% of humanity. The rest would die when the alien fleet attacked. She walked to the tactical display. Red dots showed the positions of the alien ships. The fleet contained vessels from 12 different alien species, all working together under hegemony command. There were massive battleships that looked like floating mountains. Sleek destroyers moved between them like silver snakes. Cruisers glowed with internal light, their crystal hulls beautiful and deadly. "What's our current defense status?" Sarah asked. Commander pulled up the numbers. "We have 6 destroyers in Earth orbit, 2 cruisers near Mars, and 3 frigates protecting the asteroid stations. The remaining ships are spread across the outer system." "Against 500 enemy vessels." "Yes, Admiral." Sarah had been in the military for 30 years. She had fought in 3 wars against alien raiders. She knew when a battle was hopeless, but she also knew that sometimes you had to fight anyway. "Send a message to all human ships," she said. "Tell them to form up around Earth. If we're going to die, we'll die protecting our home." The officers began sending orders. Sarah walked back to the window and stared at the alien fleet. She remembered stories her grandmother told about the first contact war 60 years ago. Humanity had been young then, just beginning to explore the stars. The aliens had attacked without warning, destroying human colonies and forcing Earth to surrender. That was when the isolation began. Humanity was forbidden to explore beyond their own star system. But humans were stubborn. They built better ships in secret. They established hidden colonies. When the aliens discovered this, they decided humanity was too dangerous to live. "Admiral," Lieutenant called out, "we're receiving surrender requests from some of the civilian stations." Sarah wasn't surprised. The miners and traders in the outer system had families. They didn't want to see their children die in a hopeless battle. "Tell them I understand," Sarah said, "but remind them that surrender means slavery. The hegemony doesn't let conquered species stay free." She thought about her own daughter, Emma, who was studying to be a doctor on one of the Mars universities. Emma was 25 years old, brilliant and kind. She wanted to help people. She didn't deserve to die because some aliens thought humans were dangerous. The command center's main alarm began to sound. Everyone looked up at the displays. "What is it?" Sarah asked. Commander was staring at his screen with a confused expression. Admiral, we're detecting movement in the alien fleet. They're powering up weapon systems. Already, they said we had 12 hours. Maybe they changed their minds, Lieutenant said quietly. Sarah felt her heart sink. The aliens were going to attack early. Humanity's last few hours were being stolen from them. But then looked up with an even more confused expression. Wait, Admiral, they're not targeting us. They're aiming at something else, something beyond the edge of the system. Sarah moved to his station. What are they looking at? I'm not sure. Our long-range sensors are picking up a small object moving in from the outer darkness. It's a ship, a single ship approaching from beyond Pluto. Sarah stared at the sensor reading. One ship was coming toward Earth, and 500 alien warships were pointing their weapons at it. It didn't make sense. Can you identify the ship? Worked at his controls for a moment, then his face went pale. Admiral, according to these readings, it's a human frigate, but that's impossible. We don't have any ships in that sector. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Show me. The main screen flickered and displayed a grainy image of a dark ship moving through space. It was definitely human design, but old. Very old. The hull was and battered like it had been fighting for decades. Admiral said quietly, the ship is broadcasting an identification signal. It says it's the UENS Defiance. Sarah's coffee cup fell from her hand and shattered on the floor. The Defiance was supposed to be lost 60 years ago during the First Contact War. It had vanished with the entire lost fleet while chasing alien raiders into the galactic rim. Now it was coming home. The UENS Defiance moved through space like a ghost returning from the dead. Admiral Sarah watched the ancient frigate on Luna Station's main screen, her heart beating fast. Everyone in the command center stared in silence. Ships that were lost 60 years ago didn't just come back. Are we sure it's really the Defiance? Sarah asked. Commander checked his readings again. The identification codes match perfectly, but Admiral, look at these energy signatures. This ship is barely showing up on our sensors. It's like it's not fully here. The alien fleet had noticed the approaching ship too. Admiral Ra's crystalline voice came through the communication system, speaking to her own fleet rather than to the humans. All ships maintain position. We have a single human vessel approaching. It appears to be from their ancient fleet. This changes nothing. After we destroy this ghost ship, we will proceed with the elimination of the human home world. Sarah felt anger rise in her chest. The aliens were talking about destroying Earth like it was just another job to finish. Try to contact the Defiance, she ordered. Lieutenant worked at her station. I'm sending standard approach signals on all frequencies. For several minutes, nothing happened. The old frigate continued moving toward the inner system, ignoring both the human and alien fleets. Then, suddenly, the communications board lit up. Luna Station, this is Captain Stone of the UENS Defiance, requesting permission to engage the enemy. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Stone was a legend. She had studied his battles in military school. He was the youngest captain ever given command of a frigate, and he had never lost a fight. But Stone was supposed to be over 90 years old now if he was still alive. Put him on screen, Sarah said. The main display flickered, and a man's face appeared. Sarah expected to see an old veteran with gray hair and wrinkled skin. Instead, she saw a man who looked about 40 years old with dark hair and intense brown eyes. He wore an old military uniform that was clean but showed signs of many repairs. Admiral, Captain Stone said with a slight smile, "You look surprised to see me." "Captain Stone, according to our records, you've been missing for 60 years. How is this possible?" Stone's expression became serious. "Time moves differently in the galactic rim, Admiral. What felt like 60 years to you was much longer for us. We've been busy." Sarah looked more closely at the image. Behind Captain Stone, she could see other crew members working at their stations. They all looked young and strong, but their equipment was strange. She could see normal human controls mixed with technology she didn't recognize. "Captain, where is the rest of the lost fleet?" Sarah asked. "They're coming," Stone replied. "But first we need to deal with the immediate problem." He turned to look at something off-screen, then looked back at Sarah. "Admiral, I need you to move all human ships away from Earth, pull back to the moon's orbit." "Why? We're planning to make our stand here." Stone shook his head. Admiral, your ships are brave, but they're not ready for what's about to happen. Trust me, pull back your forces and let us handle this. Sarah hesitated. Everything about this situation felt wrong. How could one old frigate fight 500 alien warships? Captain, what exactly do you plan to do? Stone's image flickered slightly, as if the transmission was having trouble staying stable. We plan to remind the hegemony why they feared humanity in the first place. Before Sarah could ask more questions, the transmission ended. On the tactical display, the Defiance continued its approach toward the alien fleet. Admiral Ra's voice came through the speakers again. Humans of the Sol system, we will now demonstrate what happens to those who challenge the hegemony. Watch as we destroy your ancient ship. The alien fleet began to move. Massive battleships turned to face the approaching frigate. Weapon systems that could destroy planets began to charge with deadly energy. Sarah felt helpless. She was watching a hero from Earth's past about to die, and there was nothing she could do about it. Should we order our ships to assist? Commander asked. Sarah shook her head. Captain Stone told us to stay back. I don't know why, but something tells me we should listen to him. The Defiance was now close enough for the aliens to attack. Sarah expected to see the small frigate disappear in a ball of fire. Instead, something impossible happened. The alien ships opened fire with hundreds of energy beams and missiles. But as the weapons approached the Defiance, they began to curve away from the ship. It was as if space itself was bending around the old frigate, protecting it from harm. "What the hell is that?" Lieutenant whispered. The Defiance didn't even try to dodge the attacks. It flew straight through the alien weapon's fire like it was flying through empty space. As it passed the first line of alien ships, something strange began to happen to the enemy vessels. The battleships, huge as mountains, started to shake and tremble. Their weapon systems went dark. The sleek destroyers began to drift helplessly, their engines failing. Even the beautiful crystal ships of the lost their internal glow and went cold. "Are they destroying the alien ships?" asked. Sarah studied the readings. "No, the ships are intact, but all their systems are shutting down. It's like the Defiance is somehow draining their power." Admiral Ra's voice came through the speakers, but now she sounded worried instead of confident. "All ships, report status. What is happening to our systems?" Confused alien voices began talking on multiple frequencies. Some spoke in languages the humans couldn't understand, but the fear in their voices was clear. The Defiance continued moving through the alien fleet. Wherever it went, enemy ships lost power and drifted helplessly. The small human frigate was disabling an entire invasion force without firing a single shot. Captain Stone's voice came through the communication system again. "Admiral, we're going to need to talk soon. There are things about humanity that you need to understand. Things that have been hidden for a very long time." Sarah stared at the tactical display. Half the alien fleet was already disabled, and the Defiance was still moving. "Captain, what did you discover out there in the rim?" "We discovered who we really are," Stone replied. "And we learned why the hegemony is so afraid of us. Admiral, humanity is not what we've been told. We're not refugees hiding on Earth. We're something much older and much more dangerous." The transmission ended again, leaving Sarah with more questions than answers. On the screen, the impossible continued to happen. One old human frigate was defeating 500 alien warships without firing a shot. But Sarah had a feeling that this was only the beginning. Admiral Sarah couldn't sleep. She sat in her office on Luna Station, staring at reports that made no sense. The Defiance had disabled 200 alien warships in 4 hours, and the enemy fleet was in complete chaos. Ship after ship went dark as the ancient frigate passed by them. But the most confusing part was Captain Stone himself. Sarah had pulled up his military records from 60 years ago. Stone had been born in 2387, which meant he should be 93 years old now. The man on her screen looked like he was in his early 40s. A soft knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," she said. Commander entered, carrying a tablet. "Admiral, we've been monitoring communications from the alien fleet. They're completely confused. Some of their ships are reporting that their weapons just stopped working. Others say their engines turned off by themselves. But the strangest thing is what their sensors are telling them." "What do you mean?" Sat down across from her desk. "According to their readings, the Defiance isn't really there. Their sensors show empty space where the ship should be, but they can see it with their eyes. Sarah rubbed her tired eyes. That's impossible. So is a 90-year-old man looking like he's 40, replied. Admiral, I think we need to talk to Captain Stone again. We need answers. Before Sarah could respond, her communication system activated. Captain Stone's face appeared on her wall screen. This time, Sarah could see more of the ship behind him. The bridge looked different from any human ship she'd ever seen. The controls seemed to be made of some kind of living metal that changed shape as the crew used them. Admiral, Stone said, I think it's time we had a real conversation. I agree, Sarah replied. Captain, I need to ask you directly, how are you still alive, and how do you look so young? Stone smiled, but there was sadness in his eyes. That's a long story, Admiral. When the Lost Fleet left Sol System 60 years ago, we were chasing alien raiders into the galactic rim. We thought we were just pursuing enemies who had attacked human colonies. But that's not what happened. No, we found something much more important. We found the ruins of an ancient civilization. A race that built cities among the stars millions of years ago, long before any of the current species existed. Sarah leaned forward. What happened to them? They called themselves the predecessors. And Admiral, they didn't just disappear. They were murdered by the ancestors of the current hegemony species, the same aliens who are trying to destroy humanity today. The words hit Sarah like a cold wave. Why would they do that? Captain Stone's expression grew dark. Because the predecessors tried to create a peaceful galaxy where all species could live together. The other races didn't want peace. They wanted power. So they formed an alliance and destroyed the predecessors. They thought they had killed them all. But they were wronged. Yes, a few predecessors escaped to a distant planet on the edge of the galaxy. They knew their enemies would keep hunting them, so they did something desperate. They changed themselves. They modified their own genetics to look like a primitive species that their enemies would ignore. Sarah felt her heart begin to race. She had a feeling she knew where this story was going, but she didn't want to believe it. Captain, what planet did they escape to? They called their new home Terra. We call it Earth. The silence in Sarah's office was complete. She stared at Captain Stone, trying to process what he had just told her. You're saying that humans are the descendants of this ancient race. Not descendants, Admiral, we are them. The genetic changes were designed to be temporary, but something went wrong. The predecessors forgot who they were. They became a new species that thought they had evolved naturally on Earth. For millions of years, humanity lived without knowing their true heritage. Sarah stood up and walked to her window. Outside, she could see the Defiant still moving through the alien fleet, disabling ship after ship. If this is true, why are we remembering now? Because the Lost Fleet found more than just ruins out there. We found predecessor technology that was still working. Machines that recognized our genetics and began to restore our original abilities. Admiral, humans aren't just another species. We're the children of the galaxy's greatest civilization. On the screen, Sarah could see other crew members working behind Captain Stone. They moved with confidence and precision that seemed almost supernatural. Their hands danced over controls that responded to their touch in ways that looked like magic. What kind of abilities? Sarah asked. We can communicate directly with technology. We can sense the flow of energy through space. And we can do something that terrifies the hegemony more than anything else. Which is, we can turn their own weapons against them. Every ship in their fleet, every weapon they've built, contains technology based on predecessor designs they stole millions of years ago. But they never understood how it really works. We do. Sarah walked back to her desk. Captain, if you've known this for 60 years, why didn't you come back sooner? Stone's face became sad again. Because we weren't ready. The awakening process takes time, Admiral. When we first found the predecessor ruins, only a few of us could access the ancient abilities. It took decades to fully restore our heritage, and we had to be careful. If we had come back too soon, the hegemony would have destroyed Earth immediately. But now you're ready. Now we're ready. But Admiral, this is bigger than just one ship. The Defiance is here to begin something called the Awakening Protocol. Every human in the galaxy carries predecessor genetics. When I activate the protocol, those genetics will start to express themselves. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. What does that mean? It means that every human alive is about to discover they have abilities they never imagined. Your defense crews will suddenly understand how to use alien technology. Your pilots will be able to fly ships in ways that seem impossible, and your weapons will become far more powerful than anything the hegemony has seen. Before Sarah could respond, alarms began to sound throughout Luna Station. Lieutenant's voice came through the speakers. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy spikes from all human ships and stations. Something is happening to our technology. Captain Stone smiled. It's beginning, Admiral. The children of the stars are waking up. On her desk, Sarah's computer screen began to glow with symbols she had never seen before. But somehow, she could read them perfectly. They were instructions for turning Luna Station into something much more powerful than a simple defense platform. Sarah looked at her hands. They felt different, like they contained energy waiting to be used. Captain, what's happening to me? You're becoming who you were always meant to be, Stone replied. Welcome home, Admiral. Welcome to your true heritage. The alien fleet opened fire on the Defiance with everything they had. Admiral Ross screamed orders as hundreds of weapons fired at the small human frigate. Energy beams that could melt asteroids and missiles that could crack moons, all aimed at one target. But something impossible happened. The weapons didn't just miss, they bent away from the Defiance like light bending around a black hole. Space itself seemed to protect the ancient human ship. On Luna Station, Admiral Sarah felt the change spreading through her body like electricity. The symbols on her computer screen were now perfectly clear. They showed her how to turn the station's simple defense systems into something that could challenge the alien fleet. Admiral, Commander called out, his voice full of amazement. Our weapons systems are upgrading themselves. The computers are rewriting their own programs. I don't understand how this is possible. Sarah walked to the main tactical display. Her hands moved over the controls, but she wasn't controlling them with her mind anymore. She could feel the energy flowing through the station's systems like blood through veins. It was as natural as breathing. Contact all human ships. Tell them not to resist what's happening to their systems. Tell them to trust their instincts. Across the Sol system, amazing things began to happen. On the destroyer Hamilton near Earth orbit, Captain Lisa Park watched her weapons officer stare at his controls with wide eyes. Captain, our main guns just increased their power output by 300%, and the targeting computer is showing me firing solutions I've never seen before. Captain Park felt the same strange electricity that Sarah was experiencing. Fire at the closest alien ship. Let's see what happens. The Hamilton's main gun fired a beam that glowed with silver light. When it hit a battleship, the massive enemy vessel didn't just take damage. Its hull began to dissolve like ice in hot water. Impossible, Captain Park whispered. We just destroyed a ship that's 10 times our size. Similar scenes played out across the human fleet. Ships that had been helpless against alien technology suddenly became deadly hunters. Human pilots found they could fly in ways that seemed to break the laws of physics. Their ships moved like living things, dodging alien fire while striking back with incredible precision. But the real change was happening to the people themselves. On Mars Colony, Dr. Emma Admiral Sarah's daughter was treating wounded civilians when she felt a strange tingling in her hands. When she touched her next patient, a man with severe burns, the wounds began to heal instantly. How did you do that? The patient asked, staring at his perfect skin. Emma stared at her own hands. I don't know, I knew what to do. In the asteroid mining stations, workers found they could control the heavy machinery with their thoughts alone. On the outer colonies, farmers discovered they could make crops grow faster just by concentrating on them. Children seemed to adapt fastest of all. On Luna Station, Sarah's young communications officer, Lieutenant, was typing at speeds that should have been impossible. Her fingers moved across multiple keyboards at once, and every screen she touched responded to her needs. Admiral, I'm receiving messages from human colonies all across the galaxy, said excitedly. They're all reporting the same thing. People are developing new abilities, and Admiral, they're not just adapting to technology better. They're becoming stronger, faster, smarter. Admiral Ra's voice cut through the communications system, but now she sounded afraid instead of angry. All hegemony ships retreat to safe distance. The human vessels are exhibiting impossible capabilities. Request immediate reinforcements from the home fleet. But retreat was no longer an option for the alien fleet. The Defiance had positioned itself at the center of their formation, and its mere presence was causing their ships to malfunction in ways they couldn't understand. Captain Stone's voice came through Sarah's personal communicator. "Admiral, the protocol is spreading faster than we expected. Your people are remembering their heritage at an incredible rate." "Captain, what's happening to the alien ships? They're not just being disabled anymore. Some of them are changing course and attacking their own fleet." Stone's image appeared on her screen, and now she could see that his eyes glowed with a faint silver light. "The predecessors built safeguards into all their technology, Admiral. Every piece of advanced equipment in the galaxy contains hidden programming that recognizes predecessor genetics. When enough humans wake up, that programming activates." Sarah watched her tactical display as alien ships began to turn against each other. Battleships opened fire on destroyers. Cruisers launched missiles at their own command ships. "The aliens are losing control of their own fleet. The technology remembers who its real masters are," Stone explained. "Admiral, the hegemony has been using stolen predecessor tech for millions of years. They thought they understood it, but they were just children playing with toys they didn't comprehend." On the main screen, Sarah could see Admiral Ra's crystalline face twisted with rage and fear. The alien commander was shouting orders that her own ships were ignoring. "Humans," Ra screamed. "You don't understand what you're doing. The predecessors were destroyers. They tried to control the entire galaxy. We stopped them for good reason." Captain Stone's expression became cold. "Tell her she's lying, Admiral. The predecessors tried to create peace. The hegemony destroyed them because they were afraid of losing their power." Sarah activated her communication system to broadcast to the alien fleet. "Admiral Ra, we know the truth now. Your ancestors committed genocide against our people. You've spent millions of years ruling a galaxy that was never yours to rule." "You cannot let them wake up completely," Ra pleaded. "If the predecessors return to full power, they will remake the galaxy according to their will." "Maybe it's time the galaxy was remade," Sarah replied. Around her on Luna Station, every human was now glowing with faint silver light. The station itself was changing, its simple metal walls becoming smooth and organic-looking. Weapons systems she had never seen before were growing out of the floor and walls. "Admiral," Lieutenant called out, her voice filled with wonder. "I'm receiving a signal from deep space. Multiple signals. There are ships coming toward us from the galactic rim." Sarah smiled. "How many ships, Lieutenant?" Checked her readings, then looked up with amazement. "Thousands, Admiral. It's the rest of the lost fleet, and they're not alone. There are human colonies out there we never knew about. Entire worlds full of people who have been waiting for this moment." Captain Stone's voice filled the station. "Admiral, prepare for the return of humanity's true fleet. We're coming home, and we're bringing friends." On the tactical display, Sarah watched as the alien invasion force fell apart completely. Ships that had come to destroy humanity were now fighting each other or drifting helplessly in space. The children were coming home, and the galaxy would never be the same. Space around Earth began to shimmer like water. Admiral Sarah watched from Luna Station as reality itself seemed to bend and twist. Then, one by one, ships began to appear out of nowhere. They weren't the 12 ships of the original Lost Fleet. There were thousands of them. Some looked like advanced human designs, but others were completely alien in shape. Beautiful vessels that seemed to be grown rather than built. Ships that glowed with their own inner light. Craft that moved through space like living creatures. "My God," Commander whispered, "where did they all come from?" Captain Stone's voice filled the command center, but now it carried a power that made everyone stop and listen. "Admiral, meet the true children of the predecessors. We found more than just ruins in the galactic rim. We found survivors, beings who had been hiding for millions of years, waiting for their genetic children to awaken." On the main screen, Admiral Ra's crystalline face showed pure terror. Her remaining ships were scattered and powerless. Half her fleet had been turned against her by their own technology. The other half was drifting helplessly as their systems shut down. "This is impossible," Ra said, her voice shaking. "The predecessors are extinct. We made sure of that millions of years ago." Another voice answered her, but it wasn't human. It was ancient and powerful, speaking directly into everyone's mind. "You tried to destroy us, children of war, but life finds a way. We seeded our essence into a young species on a distant world. We waited, we watched, and now we have returned." Sarah felt the presence of something vast and ancient touching her mind. It wasn't frightening. It felt like coming home after a long journey. "Admiral," the voice continued, "your people have suffered enough. It is time for the galaxy to remember what peace truly means." The alien fleet was now completely helpless. Ships that had been built to destroy worlds floated like broken toys. But Admiral Ra wasn't finished fighting. "You cannot do this," she screamed. "The hegemony rules 5,000 worlds. We have fleets throughout the galaxy. You cannot defeat us all." Captain Stone appeared on Sarah's screen again, but he looked different now. The silver light in his eyes was brighter, and she could see patterns of energy moving under his skin like living circuits. "Admiral Ra," Stone said calmly, "the awakening protocol isn't just happening in this system. It's spreading to every human in the galaxy, every colony world, every hidden outpost, every human ship in space. Right now, millions of my people are remembering who they really are." "And they're not alone," the ancient voice added. "The technology your people use, the ships you fly, the weapons you carry, all of it was built using stolen predecessor designs. We put safeguards in everything we created. Those safeguards are now activating across the entire galaxy." Sarah could see the truth of those words on her tactical displays. Reports were coming in from every corner of known space. Hegemony fleets were losing power. Alien worlds were watching their own defense systems turn against them. The careful order that had kept the galaxy under control for millions of years was falling apart in a matter of hours. But Sarah felt no desire for revenge. The power flowing through her brought understanding, not hatred. She could feel the emotions of every living being in the system, including the aliens. They weren't evil. They were afraid. "Captain Stone," Sarah said, "what happens to them now, to the hegemony species?" Stone smiled, and for a moment he looked like the young captain from the history books again. "That depends on them, Admiral. The predecessors didn't believe in conquest or slavery. We believed in giving every species the chance to choose their own path." Sarah opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. "Admiral Ra, you said the predecessors tried to control the galaxy. That's not true, is it?" The crystalline alien looked confused. "What do you mean?" "Your ancestors destroyed the predecessors because they were afraid of losing power. The predecessors wanted all species to be free and equal. That threatened the empires your people had built." Ra was quiet for a long moment. Around her, Sarah could see other alien officers listening to the conversation. "How can you know this? You are just humans. You have only been in space for a few centuries." The ancient voice spoke again, but this time it was gentle. "Child of Crystal, your own people's history has been hidden from you. Your ancestors were once peaceful traders who explored the galaxy with joy. It was only after they joined our destroyers that they became warriors and conquerors." On the screen, Sarah could see tears forming in Ra's jewel-like eyes. "You're saying we chose to become monsters?" "You chose to be afraid," Captain Stone replied. "But choice works both ways. You can choose to be something else." The space around Earth continued to fill with ships, but not all of them were from the Lost Fleet. Some were alien vessels that had broken free from hegemony control. Their crews had decided to join the growing alliance of free species. Sarah felt her daughter Emma's voice touch her mind across the vast distance to Mars. "Mom, something wonderful is happening here. People from different species are working together for the first time in millions of years. The hatred is just disappearing." "It's the same everywhere," Lieutenant reported. "We're receiving messages from hundreds of worlds. The awakening protocol isn't just giving humans new abilities. It's helping all species remember what they were like before the Age of Empires began." Admiral Ra was staring at her own hands. The crystal structure of her skin was changing, becoming more translucent and beautiful. "I can remember," she whispered. "My people used to be artists. We made music from starlight and painted with cosmic radiation. We created beauty, not weapons." "You can create beauty again," Sarah said softly. "All of you can." One by one, the alien ships began to power back up. But instead of preparing for battle, they moved into peaceful formations. Their crews were making their own choice about what kind of future they wanted. Captain Stone's image flickered and changed. Now he looked like something beyond human, tall and graceful, with skin that glowed with silver light and eyes like distant stars. "Admiral, the age of fear is ending. Your people are ready to take their place as guardians of the galaxy, just as the original predecessors intended." Sarah looked around Luna Station. Every surface now gleamed with organic curves and flowing patterns. The technology wasn't just advanced, it was alive, and she could feel its contentment like a cat purring in the sun. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we rebuild," the ancient voice replied. "We teach the galaxy to remember peace. We help every species find their true nature again, and we make sure that the age of empires never returns." Outside the station windows, Sarah could see Earth beginning to glow with the same silver light that filled the predecessor ships. Humanity's home world was transforming into something magnificent, a beacon that would shine across the galaxy as a symbol of hope. The children had come home at last, and they had brought the dawn of a new age with them.